Hey guys, well this is kind of an unplanned review, so something I thought of just doing in the meantime. I mean, because I know in my last two videos, which I did for the Best and Worst Horror remakes, I said I was going to do Best and Worst Horror sequels as well, which I will still do. I'll still do that. I just need some time to choose ones that I really hate and ones I really like. So that's still coming overall though. But I thought in the meantime I'd do a little review of the new movie Clown, which sure you see right over there on my TV. I watched it on videos on demand, and I thought of doing this little review because this is a new movie that Eli Roth produced. And as you may remember, me and my friend Alex did a little rant review video back in February for the Cabin Fever remake, which we watched that time. And since Eli Roth produced that movie, so I thought maybe reviewing this as well because Eli Roth also produced it. Now, with Eli Roth, as you may know, it's usually a hit or miss with him. I mean, he's directed some good movies, like he directed the original Cabin Fever and the first Hostel. He also directed the fake trailer of Thanksgiving for that Grindhouse double feature that Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez did, which was one of the better trailers. So he had he had potential. He had a pretty good streak up until he made Hostel Part 2 and also Knock Knock. So those ones weren't really good. But he did direct The Green Inferno, which was an exception, but even that one had its problems. So it's either hit or miss when he directs, as well as also produce. Like he's produced some good movies and some bad movies. Like he produced The Last Exorcism and The Sacrament. Those are pretty good movies. But he also produced The Last Exorcism Part 2 and and The Stranger. So he's got some ups and downs with producing as well. And the Cabin Fever remake was the worst movie that he ever produced. The number one worst. As well as also it's the worst horror movie I've seen this year thus far. So I still thought of just checking this out because I still like Eli Roth. I mean, he's no master of horror, but I like him. So, and of course, he didn't direct this movie. This was directed by a director named John Watts, who I'm not too familiar with, but I do know that he's going to be directing the new Spider-Man Homecoming movie. So, I wasn't really too sure what to think about him going into this movie, but of course I knew what to think of with Eli Roth. But, so that all being said, so let's get right into this movie. So, how is Clown overall? Well, overall, it wasn't a bad movie. It's not Eli Roth's best produced movie, but it's not his worst either. So, it's not a bad movie. So this movie is basically about this man who's who's father to a son. He's married, and he works as a real estate agent. And on his son's birthday, he gets a call that the clown he booked couldn't come. So while he's at work, he doing real estate at this house he's working in. So he manages to find a clown suit hidden in the basement of the house. So then he decides to just put on that clown suit and perform as the clown at his son's birthday party. But the next day, he tries to take off the clown suit, taking off the nose, the rainbow wig, the suit itself, but none of it's coming right off. So it's all just really hard to get off. It's all attached to his skin now. So as much as he tries to get it off, it's not helping. And he's also starting to change himself. He's starting to get food cravings, starting to get some pretty bad thoughts in his head. But only to find out that this clown suit is not what he thinks it is. And that's something I'm not going to spoil, because I don't really want to spoil too much in this movie. It's a new movie that I'm sure a lot of people want to see, so I don't want to spoil it too much. So I just want to say that he's starting to become evil while wearing that suit. As much as he's trying to get it off, it's much as he's trying to fight back, that thing just consumes him, and he becomes, of course, that evil clown that you see right over there. So, this movie had some pretty good atmospheric scenes. I will say the second half of the movie I thought really picked up, because the first half at times was kind of boring. Excuse me. And the editing was, well, what can I really say about the editing? The editing in this movie was pretty bad. Because, like, you know, there's times where you can actually hear, like, some background noise, some wind blowing, so it's pretty bad sound editing there. And another thing bad I can also say is that, like, you know, while there was some good acting in the movie from, like, the main leads, but there were some, like, you know, kid actors that were pretty bad acting. But that's kind of nitpicking, to be honest, though, because these are, like, you know, young actors trying to get their start in acting, so I can't really fault them on that one. The makeup, the gore effects, the makeup for, like, the clown was pretty good. The gore effects were kind of here and there. I mean, like, you know, a lot of the kills were off screen because of the fact that a lot of the kills were of kids, so they can't really show kids getting killed. We see, like, you know, just a lot of blood splashing on the walls. But there was also, like, you know, a very cool scene that takes place in, like, you know, a kind of like a little playground at the end, like, you know, an indoor playground, like at an arcade for kids. You know, a ball pit as well. So that whole thing was actually really cool. Like, it did have some pretty good storytelling. So it was pretty story driven. That's kind of the reason why the first half is kind of boring, but really picks up at the end there. So this was not a bad movie. I mean, it had its flaws, but overall it was worth seeing. I actually kind of more did like it than I did dislike it, so it was better than the Cabin Fever remake, but that's not saying much, though. It was better than The Last Exorcism Part 2, but again, not saying much. So this is not Eli Roth's best produced movie, but not his worst movie either, so this is a better movie that he produced, though. It did have some of, like, Eli Roth's style in it. It had some, like, you know, some pretty gory stuff, like in his movies. It did have some dark humor, like we saw in the original Cabin Fever, but lacked in the Cabin Fever remake. So I actually do recommend this movie. I mean, and this could actually be something scary to people that just are scared of clowns. I mean, I'm not really a person who's scared of clowns. I was when I was a kid, but not anymore. But so this can actually be something frightening to people who are actually scared of clowns. So, all in all, I liked this movie. I recommend it. And I think that's really all I gotta say. So I'm gonna say, yeah, that's actually pretty good. Hope to actually buy it on Blu-ray soon. In the meantime, you can definitely check it out on Videos on Demand or on iTunes. And that's all I gotta say. So Eli Roth came through this time and produced a decent movie. And that's it. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed and stay tuned for more of my videos. Alright, bye.